You feel it, don't you? That quiet tap at the back of your mind, the name you trained yourself not to say, the face that used to live in your every thought and then disappeared into years of silence. And now somehow they are back. No warning, no map, no easy answer. Just that strange pull in your chest that says this moment means more than it seems. Before you call it fate, before you call it love, before you tell yourself a story that may not be true, stay with me, because what is really happening here is deeper than romance and more powerful than memory. This is not just about someone returning. This is about why certain connections refuse to die, even when the world goes quiet around them. And the reason is not what most people think. It is not simply that they got lonely. It is not only that they suddenly realized your worth. It is not even that time healed them and pushed them back to your door. The truth is stranger, stronger, more human. And once you see it clearly, you will never look at this kind of return the same way again. So, if this has happened to you, or if you feel it happening right now, keep listening, because the next part may explain a chapter of your life you never fully understood. Most people believe that when someone comes back after a long silence, it must mean they finally missed you enough. They imagine time softened the person, matured them, made them see what they lost. Sometimes that is part of the story, yes, but it is almost never the deepest reason. The deeper reason lives below words, below pride, below logic. Human beings are built for attachment, not just for romance, not just for comfort, for survival. From the beginning of life, the nervous system learns connection as safety. It learns closeness as relief. It learns certain people as emotional shelter. And when a bond becomes truly meaningful, the system does not simply erase it because time passed or messages stopped. That is not how the mind works. That is not how the body works. The emotional structure built around a person can remain active long after the relationship itself has gone silent. Patterns stay, feelings stay, reactions stay. The sense of who brought calm, who brought warmth, who once felt like home, all of that can remain alive under the surface. And this is where it gets important. When a connection ends before the emotions around it are fully faced, fully felt, and fully accepted, the mind often keeps circling it. Not in a dramatic way all the time. Sometimes very quietly. Sometimes in the background for years, but it circles. Psychology often points to something powerful here, an open emotional loop. That means a bond ended on the outside, but inside, something about it never finished. The heart never fully processed it. The nervous system never completed the loss. The mind never made peace with what happened. And when that happens, a person may move forward in life while still carrying an unfinished thread inside them. This is why silence can be misleading. Silence looks like closure from the outside. Silence looks like indifference. Silence looks like forgetting. But sometimes silence is not emptiness at all. Sometimes it is pressure. Sometimes it is conflict. Sometimes it is someone fighting their own feelings every day without letting you see any of it. And that is why this moment matters. Because if a person returns after years, it is often not because they suddenly created emotion. It is because emotion that never fully died has become too loud to ignore. Let that sink in. They are not always returning because they became a brand new person overnight. Often they are returning because some part of them stayed tied to what was left unfinished. And now that unfinished thing has started pulling harder than their fear, harder than their pride, harder than the story they were trying to live without you. That changes the meaning of their return in a big way. Think about what it really means to carry someone in silence, to hear a song and feel a memory open before you can stop it, to pass a place you once shared and notice the absence before you notice anything else, to think of sending a message and then pulling your hand back, to rehearse words you never send, to wonder if too much time has passed, to tell yourself it does not matter anymore, while still checking in your mind whether they would understand what you never said. That is not nothing. That is not emotional emptiness. That is a private war between longing and resistance. And many people lose years inside that war. You only see the quiet. You do not see the argument happening behind it. You do not see the late night thoughts, the hesitation, the old tenderness rising again, the fear of being rejected, the shame of having waited too long, the ego trying to stay in control while the heart keeps slipping. This is why the loudest silences are often filled with the most feeling. And this is where most people get it wrong, so stay with me. They assume no contact means no care. They assume distance means emotional death. But in many cases, distance only means the person did not know how to face what the connection still meant to them. They did not know how to return without exposing how deeply they were affected. And if that is true, then something else is true too. You were not forgettable. You were not a passing mood. You were not just another chapter they closed and never thought about again. Without trying to impress, without performing, without twisting yourself into someone else, you left an imprint, a real one. The kind that stays in the emotional system, the kind that lives beyond logic, the kind that survives seasons, distractions, distance, and even deliberate silence. That does not happen with every connection. It happens with the ones that reach deeper than surface attraction. It happens when something about the bond felt emotionally significant, safe, intense, unfinished, or deeply alive. You cannot fake your way into someone's nervous system at that level. You cannot manufacture a memory that the body keeps returning to. You cannot pretend your way into becoming the person someone measures future connections against without even meaning to. So, if they are back after all this time, understand what that says before you decide what to do with it. It says what was shared had weight. It says your presence marked something in them. It says time did not erase the shape of what existed. And whether you welcome them or not, whether you continue or walk away, that truth remains. It says you mattered more than silence made it seem. And for some of you, just hearing that may heal something you have carried for far too long. Now, here comes the part that surprises most people. Their return is not always proof that they are ready. It is proof that the bond stayed alive inside them. Those are not the same thing. And if you miss that difference, you can walk right back into pain while calling it destiny. Yes, they may have been haunted by the loss. Yes, they may have felt the open loop pulling them back. Yes, they may now see your value more clearly than before. But none of that automatically means they have grown enough to hold what they once dropped. This is why you must see clearly. A return can be emotionally real and still not be emotionally mature. It can be sincere and still incomplete. It can be full of feeling and still lack the consistency that love requires. This is where your wisdom has to enter the room, because this moment is not only about their emotion, it is about your standards, your healing, your self-respect, your ability to tell the difference between someone reaching back because they feel something and someone returning prepared to protect something. Do not rush past that. This next choice shapes everything. You do not owe instant access because someone finally felt the weight of your absence. You do not owe immediate softness because they came back with emotion in their voice. Feeling is not the same as readiness. Missing you is not the same as choosing you well. And that truth can save you. There is also another layer people rarely talk about. Sometimes what pulls a person back is not only love, it is contrast. Life showed them what you really were by showing them what you were not. Other connections may have looked exciting, easy, distracting, or new, but they did not carry the same depth. They did not feel the same emotionally. They did not bring the same peace, the same honesty, the same kind of being seen. And once someone has felt a rare connection, ordinary replacements often fail to quiet the memory of it. They may try. They may date. They may travel. They may build a whole new routine. And still, in certain quiet moments, your absence speaks louder than the noise around them. Not because you were perfect, not because life with you would have solved everything, but because some people come into our lives and create a kind of emotional recognition that is hard to replace. A sense of this mattered. A sense of this was real. A sense of this reached a room inside me I cannot easily reopen with anyone else. That realization can take a long time, longer than anyone wants to admit. But when it finally lands, it lands hard. And suddenly, the person who once stayed away starts feeling the full weight of what they walked away from. That does not rewrite the past, but it does explain why some doors get knocked on years later. So what should you do when this happens? First, slow down. You do not need to decide the future just because the past came knocking. You do not need to answer with the same version of you they once knew. That version of you is gone. Life changed you. Pain taught you. Silence strengthened you. You are standing here now with more awareness, more boundaries, more understanding of what real care should look like. Let that matter. Let your present self have a voice. Because this moment is not just about whether they still feel something. It is about whether what they bring now matches what you need now. Ask yourself hard questions. Are they clear or only emotional? Are they accountable or only nostalgic? Are they ready to communicate or only relieved to be near you again? Are they prepared for consistency, honesty, and effort, or are they simply responding to an old ache inside themselves? You deserve answers to those questions. Real ones, not dreamy words, not vague regret, not chemistry alone. Stay grounded here, because this is where many people lose themselves. They confuse emotional intensity with emotional safety. They confuse being remembered with being chosen well. They confuse the return with the repair. But a return is only a beginning. It is not the proof. The proof is what happens next. Watch that closely. Watch how they show up when the moment becomes real. And still, even with all of that caution, there is something beautiful here that should not be ignored. The fact that someone could not fully let go of you says something powerful about the kind of presence you carry. You leave marks, not through games, not through manipulation, not by being hard to get or impossible to read. You leave marks by being real, by loving with depth, by showing up with your whole heart, by making people feel something true. In a world full of half connections, half effort, half truths, that kind of presence is rare. And if your heart was ever made to feel like it was too much, let this moment challenge that lie. Your depth was not the problem. Your sincerity was not the problem. Your desire for consistency was not the problem. Wanting someone to stay, to communicate, to choose you with clarity was never asking for too much. It was asking for what love is supposed to look like. If someone failed to meet that, it speaks first about their capacity, not your worth. Please hear that, because too many people spend years turning rejection into self-blame. Too many people think being left means being less, but being left by someone unready does not make you unlovable. It only means they did not know how to hold what they were given. And maybe that is the deeper healing hidden in